Hi guys, I'm Art, lead designer at Peak Design, and I'm going to show you how to set up the everyday backpack. So we've designed the bag with access in mind, which means we've got big top access with the expandable mag latch closure, and then we've got huge side zip panels on either side of the bag. So you're never going to have a black hole where you just can't find something in the bottom of the bag. I'm going to start off by showing you the side access, and the real reason that we set up the bag with the side access is for organization. It's a great way to have the entire contents of the bag laid out in front of you, and it's easy to access while you're wearing. So the way that we do that is basically there's a little pull tab here on the strap, so you can pull the tension loose, and that allows you to swing the bag around really nice and easy like that. And then you've got a great working platform here where you can access your bag, change around your divider setups, and access all your gear. Inside the bag you've got access to our new and improved flexible dividers. So these differ from normal dividers in a number of ways. They allow you to go through three main setups. The first being a shelf. So I have these shelves that divide the bag horizontally here and allow you to kind of stack gear on top of each other. Each one of those shelves can then be further subdivided using a pocket, what we call a pocket. So one of the flaps comes up, and then you've just divided that space. And then the final setup is to pull up the other flap, and we call that a pass-through. The pass-through is great when you have really long objects that you need to take up the whole space of the bag, like a long lens or a tripod. On top of those three setups, it's very quick to free up more space by simply biasing the dividers upwards or downwards. So now I've just freed up a lot more space in this bottom area here by punching that over, and these guys sit nice and flush together. So without removing the dividers, you can free up a lot more space very quickly. Your bag comes pre-set up with dividers, but in order to get it to everything to be nice and lined up, here's the best way to start. So start with a blank slate with both sides opened up. You just fold your divider like this, and you're going to put one of them all the way to the bottom, assuming this is kind of where you want to build from. And then you're going to put two of the flaps up, and that basically is kind of where you measure the placement of the next one off. So same thing. You put that against it, make sure it's centered left and right, and then you just build all the way up like that. That makes sure everything is nice and lined up so that when you pop your flaps up, you get nice closed off compartments. So let's start with the basics here. If you only want to carry a little bit of protected gear like a camera or headphones, this is a great way to do it. It really prioritizes the big open volume of the bag, but then it gives you, by popping up this bottom divider here, a great protected storage space. So it's perfect for a smaller camera, or even a smaller camera and a lens, like so. And this is going to be nice and protected. The thing to note about this setup here is that because the divider is facing upwards, it's going to want to collapse back to the bottom of the bag if there's nothing in there. So that's great on one hand if you want to pull out your camera and then everything basically automatically gains that space back. But if you want to really reserve that space for your camera to easily get it in and out, what you're going to want to do is basically pull this divider out, kind of measure from the bottom. So here's my camera and I want it to go in this orientation, and basically set your divider up based on that, like so. Now, even if there's no camera gear in the bottom, it's a nice stable surface that no matter what you have in here isn't going to collapse that space. With two dividers, now you have a nice sturdy shelf that has a subdividable section below it. So now that allows you to always have a nice secure spot, but then to divide it depending on what gear you need, like so. So now with 3 dividers here, I've got space for my camera and subdividable bottom, or I can switch these obviously. So I can put kind of a medium-sized lens down here, subdivide it with a smaller lens like so. Now where this all kind of comes together to create a really versatile system is in a situation like, let's say I want to swap this, this big lens for my smaller one. And I'll do that real quick. So now I don't really have a great place for this big lens. It won't fit in this compartment here. If I put it in here, I'm going to be banging against my camera. So this is really where the pass-through comes through. So I can fold up both shelves like so, and now I've got a great spot for that big lens. And I can either access my camera really quickly just by popping that open, or access the camera via the other side. So now without tearing any Velcro out, we've gone through a number of different configurations really quickly. So you'll notice that when I put these smaller lenses, this is a Sony 28 f2, that they kind of will rattle around a little bit on these large side pockets. That's, you know, there's a bit of a give and trade there in terms of being able to absolutely fine-tune the size of your pocket, but we did size these so that when they're placed in the center, like so, that they're really nice and snug and they shouldn't really rattle around too much like that. Here's a couple more setups that we had for some common camera carry situations. This is with a real long lens here. I've got all 3 dividers folded up, and that allows you a really nice big zone there. This setup here is sort of a holy trinity setup with 3 big lenses and a camera. So basically I've moved all 3 dividers off the bottom here, and that creates still space for additional gear up top, but tons of room for camera gear. If you've got a bigger camera than that, like this is a battery gripped D800, and all you're going to have to do is just pop that top divider up, and you should have plenty of room to operate up top here. Another good setup here is to, if you really want to optimize things and make room for the grip on your camera, you can set up a pass-through situation like this, and that creates a really nice snug setup where you've got a compartment for a lens here, everything's nice and protected, and it fits in really nice and Tetris-like. For general kind of daily carry setups, just a single divider in the middle is really all you need. It keeps things from kind of cluttering on the bottom and gives you nice quick access to everything. So I'll just do a quick load up here. Got some climbing shoes and kind of a compressible jacket. And then up top, just to keep things from really kind of crushing each other, I've got my headphones, field pouch, and some sunglasses. So now all of that stuff is kind of floating in the bag rather than just all kind of turning into a big mess at the bottom. Another great daily carry setup if you want to subdivide things either farther is to use 2 dividers. And if you set them up like this, where I've got the bottom one popped up like so, it's actually really quick to clear out the whole space to make way for groceries or something like that. So if I pull out everything here, this one just pops to the bottom, and then if I just rip one piece of Velcro, that folds totally flat, and now I've got the whole bag. On the inside of the bag, we've got these great little stretch mesh dividers here. This material stretches quite a bit, but it also provides really good protection, so you shouldn't have to worry about putting keys or any kind of sharp objects and having fragile items on either side of the pocket. They can expand quite a bit, so you can really load things up really nicely in here. But don't forget that this outer pocket here stretches, so even big objects you can zip into the side. I've got a water bottle here, for example. If I didn't want to carry it on the outside of my bag, but I didn't want it kind of rolling around on the inside, you can throw those in those big side guys here. Top access is via our mag latch system. This is a patented closure system that we came up with, and basically it uses a ladder to allow the bag to expand and contract depending on how much gear you're carrying. The way you open it is you just pull out and then down, and that unhooks it from the bar. It's totally latched in place until you pull out and down. Generally, you should be kind of reaching for the next available bar, and this is on has some elastic in here, which means that it should auto lock into place. If you're kind of in between bars, you may have to push up a little bit to get it to lock up to the next one, but in general, I think you're going to find yourself on the bottom 3 bars here. That should provide a ton of expansion, even on this one. The top bar is really what we call kind of an overflow mode. The bag isn't going to be perfectly sealed up and like look completely great in that top mode because it's just so overloaded, but we wanted to give people the option to close the bag even if they had way too much stuff, rather than just saying the bag only closes when it is carrying the perfect amount of gear. So that's mag latch. We think, based on the everyday messenger, that you're going to find it's a really great system on this bag. So the laptop and tablet and kind of top item storage is all via a single zipper. It's actually the same zipper that runs around the whole bag, which I think is kind of cool. So basically, when you open that up, you're going to see there's a top pocket here with a span mesh kind of hammock that it can expand to hold a ton of stuff. You can put an entire field pouch in here, actually, no problem. And it kind of robs space from the top pocket of the bag, which is great. It's just like a lot of flexibility, kind of a divider membrane. Below that, you're going to see your laptop and tablet storage here. So I've got a tablet on the front side of the bag here, and that's a felt tablet sleeve, which we think the felt is pretty cool because it basically provides a lot of protection in a really, really slim amount of material. It's only 2 millimeters thick, but it's pretty impossible to actually fully compress it, unlike a lot of foam. So, and then behind that is your laptop sleeve. What's cool about this is that on the sides we have this additional span mesh in here, and you can see the back of the bag here is completely expanding to accommodate that stuff. So I can even put a way thicker laptop in there, and it basically just it expands the back of the bag out. We have breaks in the foam back here to allow the bag to get deeper, but it also kind of expands into the bag as well. So that means that when there's no laptop in there, it's completely flush, and then when it is loaded up, you can load it up as much as you want, and to the point that you can actually fit a hydration bladder in there as well. The loop zippers on the bag are actually security zippers. So we've got one on top and bottom on each side of the bag. So basically this is to lock off the bag to pickpockets. It's not a really secure long-term lock, but what it does is it's enough to confuse people who would otherwise really be able to quickly unzip the bag. This is something that we expect, 5% of people to ever be in a situation where they feel like they really need this, but it's nice that it's there. So basically all you do is you just pull this tab, and that unbuttons it, basically. And now I've got my pull, and I can loop it through these webbing loops here, which are actually the same loops that we use for external carry. And then you just rebutton it like that. So now the zipper pull, it's nice and locked down like that. You can also lock down the top pocket. It's a little bit trickier to do, but you can pass that through the loop like so. and rebutton that just like so. So now the top pocket and the side of the bag are locked down. If you don't find yourself using the side pockets that often and you're kind of concerned about these guys migrating around, since they're on the bottom of the bag, sometimes they get bounced around a little bit, you can just kind of permanently lock these bottom zippers off as well. The side pockets on this bag I think are pretty unique. They've got a magnetic closure to keep things nice and tidy, and an expansion strap that goes all the way through the pocket here and really allows you to get big bottles in there no problem. This is kind of a larger water bottle and it's just tons and tons of room. What that does is allows you to potentially fit an entire tripod in that side leg, depending on the size of the tripod, of course, like so. This is a particularly tall one, so when you're going into your side pockets, what you're going to want to do to secure the top of the tripod is pull these little straps that we've given you on each pocket, and that'll allow you to strap things down. So I've just got this here, and then that wraps around, connects to the loop on the other side of the bag here, same one that the zipper pull is attached to, and then I can really crank that down nice and tight, like so. If you've got a really big tripod that you can't fit entirely into the side pocket, don't worry about it. All you have to do is just drop a single or two legs into the side pocket and then bring your strap around. That just keeps it from kind of sliding down. On the other side of the bag, there's a key tether. This is cool because it's looped around the handle here, so it can slide up and down to give you some nice reach. And that uses our anchor link system, which is just a really easy one-hand on and off. Same system that we use on all of our camera straps. So it's a way to have your keys really quickly accessible, but also nice and secure. If you want it to put it on the other side or kind of carry it on its own, this is just secured with a little cow hitch there, so very easy to take off. We've given you a really robust external carry system on the bag. And what that means is basically if there's objects that are too big or awkward or dirty or your bag is totally full, you have options for carrying things on the sides, front, top, and bottom of the bag using these straps. I already kind of showed you the strap on the side to use for tripods or tall things that you want to stick into the side pockets. Those same straps can be removed and kind of used to assist any of these other situations. And then I've got these really long ones on the bottom that deploy from this center panel here. Those ones can be used to carry things on the bottom, like so, up across the bag like this. You can cross those up for certain situations, like bike helmets work better like this. You can actually cross them to go the whole width of the bag if you have really large bulky objects like a blanket or sleeping bag or something like that. And then if you want to carry things vertically, the way we recommend that is actually to hook one strap up going this way and then to pass this strap through one of these loops like so and attach it here. So now I've got a vertical carry like that. And then of course when you're done with all of this, it's really quick and easy to just store and tuck everything away, and you never know it's there. Here's that vertical carry setup I mentioned. So I've got one of the bottom straps here going across, I think the other one going up, passing through and connecting back across here. So that gives me my nice vertical carry I've got with this yoga mat. So it's very secure, and I've got still have full access to the side of the bag, which I think is pretty cool. The 30-liter bag fits drones like a DJI Phantom 4 that I've got here. So you can see I've got my big bulky remote up top and the drone itself in the bottom here. So you can carry it inside the bag, or if you want to reserve the bag for other gear, you can carry it on top as well. I'll show you how to do that here. To do external carry with something awkward like a drone, here's a great setup for it. So with the Phantom 4, you can put it this way and it's a little bit less awkward just because the arms are smaller and they're facing the bag, but you can get a little bit of interference with the zipper, especially if you have the rotors attached. If you have the rotors on, you're going to want to mount it this way. I'll set it up this way just because it's a little bit cleaner. So you just pass through your bottom straps like so, attach, and give them a nice tighten. We've got some great little elastic keepers on here that help you kind of secure the webbing tails so they're not flopping around too much. So those are nice and secure. And then I've got nice, clean drone carry there. Still with pretty good access to the rest of the bag with a little bit of finagling, like so. On the back of the bag, you'll find a really nice luggage pass-through. So that allows you to drop the bag sideways right onto a piece of roller luggage. Using the side handle. That's great because when it's on the bag, you still have really nice side access to the whole bag, and you can get to everything in the bag. That velcros down when you're not using it. Shoulder straps on the bag are really cool. They're attached with these axial strap attachment points, so you don't really have to do anything in order to have them kind of settle and find the right place on your shoulders to be comfortable. I will tell you the way that we recommend setting it up for the most comfort, and that has to do with where these wide points on the strap are. You're going to want them to kind of land right on this big wide spot underneath your collarbone right here. And that should make it so that the bag kind of lands right about at the top of your shoulders. And we think that's most people are going to find that to be the most comfortable setup. Of course, you can set it up however you want, that's fine. Different strokes for different folks. And then we've got these really cool sternum strap system here. I've got this set up right now in sort of a long-term storage situation, which means if I never use my sternum strap but I want to kind of have it available, this is probably a good setup for you. It's totally out of the way, it can't catch on anything, but it's kind of ready if I need it. So basically what that means is I pull it off the top and the bottom, so it's connected to these 2 points here. And when you're setting up your sternum strap, the point that doesn't have the webbing pull on it is going to go on the left-hand side. And different body types are going to want to set this up at different heights. For me, it's the second one down seems to work the best for me. And basically, the idea is that when you're not using the strap, you can store it like so, and it just kind of keeps the dangling webbing ends to a minimum. And you can quickly kind of pop that off and set yourself up on the other side. And the idea is that it should be, the way that I recommend doing it is with your left hand, you kind of, with your fingers, just pop it off like that. So it should be a one hand on and off situation versus a side release buckle, which you're always kind of, you need 2 hands to do it, like so. I touched on this, but it's important to note that the side of hardware without the little webbing pole goes on the left side. The reason for this is that the left side is basically what we call the kind of, you set it up and then you don't have to touch it again. That's all based on your body geometry, whereas the right side is the side that's intended to be the quick on and off. So this one the geometry locks up harder than the one on the right does, which means to uninstall, sometimes it can hang up on there by design. It's not supposed to pop off. And there's a little arrow to indicate that you basically, in order to readjust it, you pull it off by pulling up like that. And then it should be quick to get in. If you don't do that, sometimes it can be really difficult to get off, which is good. But just an upward angle and you're good to go. We'll talk about waist belts here. Our waist belt system is a little bit different than most backpacks. Basically, the waist belts are actually stored in the bottom of the side pockets. That's important to note because there is a slot in the bottom here, so be aware when you're putting things in there that there is a hole in the side of the pocket. It's pretty tough for things to pop out of there, but it's important to note. So through that slot, you just pull the waist belt out. You'll notice there's basically a strip of webbing that attaches to a tri-glide adjuster. What you're going to want to do when you first get the bag is set up this webbing here based on your size. So I'm smaller, so I kind of tighten it down quite a bit. And then I take that extra webbing and then I tuck it back into that pocket. And that keeps things nice and tidy, like so. So you don't have an extra webbing tail floating around. To attach, basically it's just a hook. So I've got this little webbing or hypalon loop there, and that should kind of click into place nicely. And then you should be able to tighten that like so. Nice little elastic guy to keep things tidy. And so that can just dangle if you use your waist belt a lot. If you don't use your waist belt that much, obviously you can store them in the side pockets like I had for those situations where you're carrying a lot of weight or you needed that extra stability. But a lot of people never use waist belts, and honestly, I don't see why you'd want to clog up your side pockets if you're never going to use them. So if that's you and you never use them, just take them off, no problem. If you're going to use the backpack with the capture clip, it's really just like any other backpack. We've got a great wide patch here that accommodates the clip nicely. So you just swing it into place like so. Give it a little squeeze to compress it into place. Clamp down your bolts. Like so. And you're good to go. Tripod plate on the bottom of your camera. And that's nice and secure. Now this works okay, but we always recommend with capture to use your sternum strap just to keep things a little bit more stable. Just wanted to note one thing about the design of the bag in regards to the bag standing up. It's kind of an interesting system we've got going here. So there's this little extra band of material that gives the bag kind of a nice aerodynamic shape that looks nice and sleek. When you set the bag down, the idea is that that piece folds down like that, and now you've got two big wide contact points for the bag to rest on. That works perfect in most situations, but you'll find that if there's a really hard object, like you have the camera like right at the bottom and it's really tight in there, that'll prevent that from happening and you might have trouble with the bag standing up. So once you kind of understand what's going on there, you can kind of pack accordingly to allow the contents to kind of shift up a little bit. As far as care and maintenance goes on the bag, it should be pretty easy. There's no water repellent finish on the exterior of the fabric, so there's really nothing to retreat. All of the water repellency comes from a water repellent finish that's impregnated, which means that it should last the lifetime of the bag, and a polyurethane coating on the exterior of the fabric, which should keep the water beating up for a good long time, years. So really, if the bag gets dirty, hot water and a rag should really clean things up well. You can spot and treat with some mild dish soap, heavily diluted. Same goes for the inside of the bag. Don't put it in the washing machine, please, and then just kind of hang dry, and you should be good to go. So that's about it for the everyday backpack. Hope you guys got all your questions answered. If you have more, reach out to us. We've got a really robust community. You can post questions there. Our customer service team and Dan and Jen are on top of answering all your questions, and really excited to hear your feedback. We've got a lot of work into these designs over the last years, and can't wait to hear what you think. Thanks a lot.